Hello, everybody. Today is a good day for a couple of surprises, we thought. And so we are doing something new and special. Today we are going to talk about five random songs from the 60s. Um, if you like our idea, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and give us all your comments. But before you do this, let's watch this video. Yeah, random songs from the 60s. Why not favorite songs from the 60s or songs we hate from the 60s? And we thought, well, why don't we just talk about songs? Not every song has to be your favorite. You can just enjoy it in any capacity. And yeah, so I really randomly picked five songs, not completely randomly. This is the way I went at it. I have a huge Spotify playlist with songs from the 60s. It's about, I think, 60 hours of songs I compiled from lists and charts and other playlists and videos I watched. And I just went through this list and picked five songs that I liked and thought would be interesting to talk about, not just for you, but for me as well. And I will start with my first pick. I will go through this chronologically. So my first song is from 1963, and it's a song called "Just One Look" by Doris Troy. And I didn't know anything about Doris Troy, and I didn't know the song. It's a soul song, a classic soul song. It's beautiful, um, beautiful melodies. You know, it has this production where the voice is just slightly distorted, like the songs back in the day were produced. You're with the musicians in a room, and you hear this beautiful voice of Doris Troy singing that song. 2.5 minutes, very simple, very melodic, earwormy quality. Nothing too special, but just classic soul that you just love if you do love it. And I read a bit about Doris Troy, and that was actually her first song and also her biggest hit. Um, Reached number 10 in the US Billboard charts, and she grew up in New York and was actually discovered by James Brown because she was an usherette in the Apollo Theater in Harlem, and he saw her there and invited her to come to the studio, and so she started her career as a background singer for Atlantic Records, and she sung for people like Solomon Burke, the Drifters, Diane Warwick. People like those, where she was just in a studio and singing background for them. And but then someone said, "Well, why don't you just record your own song?" And she recorded a demo of "Just One Look" to give it to Atlantic Records, and Atlantic Records listened to the demo and said, "Well, we don't have to record it again," and just released the demo as it was, and that went to number 10. And yeah, well, the singles that came after that weren't that successful, but soul had quite the following in the UK in the 60s, and so Doris Troy went to Great Britain and became a studio singer over there, and recorded with a lot of famous people. She was in a background singer for "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by the Stones.
Hmm.
And during one of her studio sessions, she met George Harrison. And George Harrison said, "Well, why don't you record an album for us?" And he signed her for Apple Records. And so in 1970, she recorded an album for Apple Records. It was produced by George Harrison. And there are lots of famous people appeared on that album, like Billy Preston, Peter Frampton, Eric Clapton, Ringo
Wow.
Starr, Stephen Stills. But unfortunately, the album went nowhere, so it wasn't a big success. And she continued working as a background singer. She appears on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Um, and
Wow.
later there was a movie made about her life. Yeah, people in the business definitely knew her and appreciated her, but it didn't. Yeah, she didn't make a big solo career out of it. But yeah, the song is just gorgeous. And was Just One Look was covered by people like the Hollies, Linda Ronstadt, Brian Ferry, Harry Nilsson. They all covered that song, and yeah, I loved it. Soul from that time period, it's always like a ray of sunshine, and we are talking mostly about dark rock and roll and metal over here. So a little bit of sunshine from the 60s certainly helps. And yeah, that's my take on Doris Troy and her song Just One Look from 1963.
Ah, interesting. I'm not sure if I know Doris Troy. Um, if I have heard her. I have to check that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I just decided to move my picks a little bit around because it fits to your pick better. I think I take this one. I also take a soul song from the 60s, from 1962. And it is not really a famous one by Hattie Littles. Hattie Littles was a Motown singer, and the song is it true what they say about me? And this was a B-side actually, um, officially released in the 2000s because a lot of the singles by Motown weren't released. She recorded a lot of, I think, great stuff, but I think only one of her singles was released, and she didn't make it big. She was always a kind of third row, fourth row Motown artist, but she was really, really excellent. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't do as much research as you to come up with her whole background story. But I read it, and she did have some success, but compared to to the Supremes and the Marvelettes and all the Motown stars, she's not very well known, even though she's really a great, amazing soul singer in her own right. She could have had a career like yeah like the Supremes or their lead singers, Diana Ross. And for some reason I've listened to the whole re-releases of all those Motown singles from I think from beginning in 1960 to 1972, I think. It's many singles, including the B-sides. And because of such great B-sides of this, I mean, you could have thought I just go with the singles. I don't care about the B-side. This is so much stuff. I just go through it. But because some of those B-sides were so good, I decided to listen to all of it. And this is really I don't really remember the A side of the single, but to me this was clearly the superior song. And is it yeah, it is a kind of it has a feeling as it were older than 1962.
Mm,
The whole melody to me has also something from the Roaring Twenties.
okay.
And yeah, and it really has its own charm, just like you said, with this distorted kind of, not on purpose, distorted recording, but it really sounds great. And yeah, I'm a big Motown fan, and this is one of the to me one of the very, very early classic from the first period where they didn't have this wall of sound that got so popular later on. It
Yeah.
was a kind of a more simple recording approach. Yes. So
And
yeah,
did
and I
you
like it a lot.
are those singles you mentioned? Are those where did you listen to them? Are those on Spotify or?
I've listened to them on Spotify. Yes.
So
Yeah.
is there like a playlist or a sampler you listen?
No, you have separate samplers on Spotify. They are called. Moment, let me check to have the exact title. It's called The Complete Motown Singles,
Hmm,
and it starts with Volume 1, 1959 to 1961. Volume 2, I think, is 1962 to 1963, and so on.
great.
Yeah, and then you can move on, but it's really a lot of stuff to listen to.
Yeah, but those songs are short, right?
Yeah, those songs are short, and yeah, and some are also not that great, but all the great stuff is also included here. And most of those bands really were singles bands. So you could listen to this or to a sampler. Yeah, yeah, and I love all those big bands too. The Marvelettes, the Supremes, and Marvin Gaye. Almost every single by Marvin Gaye is great. Also
Yeah,
the early stuff. I love everything.
yeah,
That guy really was amazing. That was to me the star of Motown. That could do no wrong. That yeah. So I'm really a big fan of all those recordings and most of the artists.
yeah, yeah, great
So
stuff for sure.
yeah,
I guess we will listen to more of those in future installments of the series.
yeah.
Okay. So the next song I picked it was maybe the I think it was the only song where I thought, well, I want to include this in this video. I don't know the song that long. I listened to it probably a couple of months ago for the first time, but it was a big hit, and it's of a pretty well-known artist or artists. It's by the Hollies, and it's the song "Bus Stop" from
Hmm.
1966. It reached number 5 in the UK and was their first top 10 hit in the USA. And it was written by Graham Goldman. He was a songwriter back then, wrote hits for The Yardbirds, For Your Love is written by him, and No Milk Today by Herman's
Hmm.
Hermits. And later on, he was one of the founding members of 10cc, the art pop band from the UK. And you I wanted to include this song because when I listened to it for the first time, I was absolutely blown away by the lyrics. Not because they are so I don't know, there's no important messaging or something like that in this song, but it's a small love story. But the way he puts this love story into words is just so clever and poetic and fits so great with the music. And I just want to recite a couple of the lyrics. So the story is this guy, he's singing the song, and yeah, it's a love story. He's meeting a girl at the bus stop, and he gets to know her, and later on they marry, and she's his partner for life. And the first verse goes like this: bus stop, wet day, she's there. I say, please share my umbrella. Bus stop, bus goes, she stays, love grows under my umbrella. All that summer we enjoyed it, wind and rain and shine, and that umbrella we employed it. By August she was mine. And that's just, I think that's brilliant. Just there's no great words or amazing turns of phrases. It's just very simple, but so great how he puts this scenario in very small sentences. And later on, there's a kind of a bridge, and it goes like this. That's the way the whole thing started, silly, but it's true. Thinking of a sweet romance beginning in a queue. Came the sun, the ice was melting. No more sheltering now. Nice to think that my umbrella led me to a vow. And yeah, it's just a small little beat number, you could say, nothing too fancy. It's very effective, very hooky. I read the description, or the term rega rock, which is supposed to be that term for rock music or beat music from that point in time where somehow Indian influences came into it, like a sitar and stuff like that, like the Beatles were doing. And here the guitar is sounding a little bit like that. So I never heard that term before, ragga rock. But yeah, they
Mhm.
say that the bus stop is one song that goes under that label. And yeah, listen to it. I think actually that Rihanna might have listened to it before writing her Umbrella song. I don't know, but the it's pretty obvious to me that there are similarities. But yeah, this is just a great way how to write a very clever lyric with just a couple of words and just like three verses and a chorus and a bridge, and it's just ingenious to me. So the Hollies bus stop from 1966.
Mm, nice. I think I don't know many songs from the Hollies for some reason.
They all, to me, all these bands from that time, they all blend together because the names are so similar. There are German bands like the Rattles and stuff like that, and they all blend together for me. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, so my next band is a bit more popular, um, and it's a song from 1963 from this album. It's the second album from the Beatles. It's the British version. I'm not really sure about the American versions. I think the Americans had Meet the Beatles, and I think they might be completely different. I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that. I always listen to the British stuff. And yeah, I want to talk about the opener of this album, and it's called "It Won't Be Long." It's kind of a Lennon song, but McCartney helped him out a little bit in writing, arranging, and with the words. And yeah, I think it's really one of the yeah, the Lennon early Lennon smashers. He screams it out. Yeah, and it's a little bit similar. It has similarities to She Loves You, but I like it a little bit more. It has a bit more, I don't know, like this garagey feeling many songs had in the 60s. I will talk about this garage rock a little bit later on with about another band. And yeah, it's yeah, call and response singing. And it has never been performed live, unfortunately. Um, Even though yeah, you want to hear it live if you listen to this. It is one of the most energetic songs on this album. Yeah, and I really love this one. And it's a song that is for some reason not that much talked about.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really nice. I think the guys from I read that the guys from Mando Diao also loved this song totally, and I can really imagine them covering it.
Yeah,
Maybe they did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mando Diao is also a band that's completely vanished from my. They were so big in around 2005. Loved
Yeah,
them, saw them live as well, and then
yeah, me too.
all of a sudden they were gone. At least from my
I
perspective.
Yeah, I think I think after Gustav Noren left the band, um, they still put out albums with just
Mm.
Björn Dixgard as the band leader, and I've seen them live once, and yeah, and I decided without Gustav, I'm not interested anymore.
Okay. Yeah, for my next pick, we will stay in Great Britain at least for a little bit. My next song is by Donovan, and it's called "Season of the Witch." And this is a non-single track. It's an album track um, from his breakthrough album Sunshine Superman, which came out in 1966, and is supposed to be one of the earliest um, albums or pieces of music in this psychedelic pop genre that was emerging in the 60s, and of course um, growing bigger up until the early 70s. Donovan was born in Scotland, and learned to play the guitar in his youth, and was active in the British folk scene, where he made his first steps. Was influenced by uh, the usual picks, Woody Guthrie, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and of course Bob Dylan. And Here in Great Britain in 64 and 65, he was actually kind of uh, deemed to be the British Bob Dylan. And when Bob Dylan came to Great Britain to tour there, they were confronting him with this guy who was better than him in the eyes of the British. And so he always had to defend himself against this guy Donovan. He didn't really know, but as far as I read, they both met and were on good terms with each other. So no bad blood there.
I think if I think he's also in one of the very famous Dylan movies. I think they meet in one of those.
Yeah,
That Pennebaker movie or something,
yeah,
if I remember correctly.
I think I think I read that too, and I think Dylan mentioned him in one of his songs. But maybe it was just only on in a live concert. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Donovan's career really took off when he was getting a new management, and he was introduced to this producer called Mickey Most. Um, he became his partner for the next couple of years, doing all his albums and music. And when Donovan was recording in London, you know, there were these in the studios there were these session musicians, laying down the tracks in the background for the singers. And we all know who two of the most famous session musicians in London at that time in the mid 60s were. um,
Jimmy Page?
Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones, right? So they played on a couple of records for Donovan. Maybe they played on Season of the Witch as well, but that's not really confirmed. Um, in 1966, Donovan released this album Sunshine Superman. The title track was also a single. There was a bit of delay because of label politics. That album came out later in the US and the single as well, but it was a number one hit in the US of A. So Donovan made it big over there. Um, and the album was also very successful. And A Season of the Witch is a very moody and kind of dark track. So it's not that flowery poppy tune you would expect from a singer with a folk background. As far as I've read, Donovan was inspired by a British horror movie called Night of the Eagle, which is about a scientist or a professor who is very successful, and he learns that all his successes that he owes all his success to his wife practicing rituals and being into the occult, and doing all this trickery that her husband will be successful. This track is often deemed as a song that kind of foreshadows the end of flower power and peace, love, and harmony, because the lyrics are very simple. There's not much storytelling to it. It's this whole song is very repetitive. It's a song that invites for for live renditions where the musicians all jam and make it longer and stuff like that, make it really excessive. So it's basically just this one repetitive thing that culminates in the chorus, which is just repeating the season of the witch. So and then it starts over again. Um, and yeah, it's about this. He talks about that he looks over his shoulder and there are people watching him and stuff like that. So it has this menacing quality without ever getting really specific about what danger there is. It's just this feeling that something's off. um pretty interesting song from an artist that was very successful at the time. And he's still active. I think in the 1990s he recorded a kind of a comeback album that was produced by Rick Rubin that went completely over my head. Never heard about that one. So he's still around. One of his daughters is Yon Sky, who became an artist and was a bit of a teen idol in the 80s. She appeared in River's Edge next to Crispin Glover and Dennis Hopper and Keanu Reeves. And her biggest movie was Say Anything by Cameron Crowe, where she played the romantic love interest of John Cusack. It's the movie where he holds the boombox over his head and stands under her window and serenades her.
Yeah.
Very successful teen comedy. So she's a daughter of Donovan, and Season of the Witch from 1966.
I have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I think I've read a lot about this song, but I've never heard it.
Yeah, I knew Donovan, but I don't know. Maybe I think I kind of mixed him up with Gilbert O'Sullivan, and I remember my father had a single of Gilbert O'Sullivan, and I didn't like that one at all. So I didn't like Donovan at all. I never checked him out. So yeah, but this is certainly a song that someone with let's say, with a rock background might see as a passageway to his more flowery stuff.
Mhm. I think I only know the song Atlantis.
Mm.
I think his biggest hit probably, but yeah, I know that he is really well. The critics love him, and a lot of folk singers love him. So he has a big standing in the UK. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Another hit, Mellow Yellow, was arranged by John Paul Jones, actually. So that's,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, on a side note. Okay.
If John Paul Jones is involved, the music is always good.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next song is from 1964. So it came out on the Etiquette label. It's an American band from Tacoma, Washington, and it's one of my favorite bands. It's the Sonics.
Mhm.
A great garage punk combo. It wasn't called punk at the time, but to me, it is obvious that this is one of the bands that are precursors to punk and to the Stooges, all these 60s Nuggets compilations. Of all those bands, I think the Sonics were the best, and they made the best records. And I mean, to come out with something like this in 1964 is just amazing. And I picked one of their more popular tracks because I think they are not as well known as they should be, in my opinion. And I picked the song "The Witch." It's really it didn't do much in 1964. It became a number two regionally in their region in Tacoma, Washington. But today it's a classic, but didn't really chart back in the day. It has a stop-start melody, very aggressive playing, a very raw and a very aggressive vocal delivery by Gary Rosley. Very unusual for the time. I mean, of course, in the 50s there was Little Richard. He had a very impressive scream, but he didn't have this kind of aggression, this kind of energy. That I think that was really something. And then guitar and the saxophone are in unison in this song, and yeah, they are pretty tight. It's a very rockin' and a very in your face song. It's hard to believe for me that there was something more intense in rock music in 1964. Um, Yeah, and yeah, they cover Little Richard all the time, so they really love this early rock and roll. And on the single of The Witch is they also cover Little Richard. It is you Can't Hear Me Knocking, and they also cover here um, I think Good Golly Miss Molly, yes, from Little Richard.
Mm.
Yeah, and this was the blueprint later on for many punk rock bands. The garagey punk rock bands, like in the 90s, the New Bomb Turks, or later, of course, the Hives, that are probably the most popular band, totally modeled on the Sonics. And yeah, all garage rock fans love the Sonics, and yeah, and I love the Sonics.
Yeah.
So, do you know them or not so much?
I certainly know the name. I don't know if I ever listened to them. Probably I heard a couple of songs, but it's also a band that I get always mixed up with the Zombies. I think,
Ah,
and I
yeah.
think they are a bit similar, right?
It's yeah, more or less the same era,
Mm,
but the Sonics are no, the Zombies. They are less garagey, less aggressive, and
mm,
they are more composers with a lot of finesse and
yeah, okay.
psychedelia.
Yeah,
So they are less primitive,
yeah, okay.
but also one of the great 60s bands,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have to check them out.
Many people consider them the best 60s band.
Mm,
The
yeah, I
best.
know they're
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Sonics they were discovered later on, right? It's something that became popular retroactively, right? Through
Yes,
labels
yes,
re-releasing
yes.
that stuff, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Because when this garage rock got a bit more popular, and also during the garage rock revival in the early 2000s, everybody said, "Yeah, listen to the Sonics. They did this so many years ago." So and actually, they came out with new music not so long ago. And they
Okay.
made new albums which were really good, produced, and they did a show in Seattle, I think, produced by Jack and Dino, and it really sounds really good. I mean, the scream of the lead singer is not as intense as it was. I mean, he's not that young anymore, but it's they still kick ass, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, cool. They
Yeah.
have to be in the 80s, right?
I'm not sure how old they are now. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this concert, I think this concert was maybe 10 or 15 years
Yeah.
ago, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. So I will stay a bit in my flowery lane, and it's getting a bit more mellow after your proto punk. And I'm going to talk about Never My Love by The Association. Um, it was a number two hit in 1967, and it came. It was one of five top 10 hits by The Association in the late 60s. They had two number one singles, Cherish in 1966 and Windy in 1967, and I think Never My Love came after that. Not too sure. It's it's a song written by two siblings, Dan and Dick Adrisi, and it was covered by several other artists, but the Association were the first, and they were the band that made the biggest hit out of that song. Um, and it was recorded with members of the Wrecking Crew, the incredibly famous session musicians in LA back at the time. And it's today I read a couple of pieces about their number one hits, and they weren't too appreciative of that band. Uh, Basically deriding them as easy listening and elevator music and fluff. And Never My Love is absolutely a piece of that moment in time, that sugary, flowery California pop from the 60s, very airy and light, with beautiful vocal harmonies, like you would know from the Beach Boys, also from Simon and Garfunkel, but this is way lighter and more mellow, and it's very it's so airy and light, it almost disappears into the air. So yeah, this is very soothing music, beautiful harmonies. The Association were, I think there were 6 or 7 guys. They had played a couple of instruments as well, but I think they had 2 or 3 lead vocalists. And they released 5 albums from 1966 to 1972. And then they started, I mean, they had kind of a revolving door of members before that, but then it got really hard. One of their founding members died of a heroin overdose, and after that they never found a stable lineup. So they still exist. They play on the nostalgia circuit, and they released a couple of singles here and there over the decades. But after 72, they never managed to release another album. And they have an own Wikipedia page on their members. So they have like 50 members or something like that went through this group and played over the decades with them, yeah, up until the 2010s, I think. But yeah, today they are like this nostalgia act, and I don't know. I think I totally get it why you would say this is easy listening and fluff and kind of worthless sugary stuff, but I think that's an amazingly beautiful song, and you have to know the craft behind it when you listen to it. It's undeniable that these guys knew what they were doing, and how they put their voices together is just amazing. And when you listen to it, you are transported back to some I don't know, to a 60s sitcom or romantic movie or something like that, with that Technicolor colors, and you're in California, and a beautiful girl in a petticoat is whispering in your ear. So that's the kind of vibe you get from that, and it's perfect. It's called sunshine pop. That's a very fitting description. So if you need a little bit of light and air in your life, listen to Never My Love by The Association.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I think I know one song from them, but not this one.
Yeah, check it out. I think you might like it.
Okay. Okay, so my next pick is from 1962, and it is from a soul artist, and it is from one of my all-time favorite voices and singers. It is by Sam Cooke.
Mm.
And the song is it's been in the top 10 of the UK, and the number 8 in the Billboard Hot 100. And it's he had many hits, but I picked this one. I always loved this one. It's "Twistin' the Night Away." Um, I think I first heard this song by Rod Stewart in the 80s on the soundtrack of the movie Inner Space. In Germany, it was called Die Reise ins
Also
Ich.
ich, yeah,
Um, yeah, in the ending sequence when Martin Short is driving away in his Chevrolet or something. Yeah, and I always loved this song, and when I discovered the original, I loved it even more. It's a timeless R&B song, and yeah, and the version live at the Harlem Square Club, 1963 from Sam Cooke is even better. I mean, that album is cooking anyway. So if you think of Sam Cooke as a smooth, quiet, friendly soul singer, listen to that album. That guy can scream and can get a club cooking. That album is really smoking. Yeah, I love it. It's really super. It's a super raw version with a super tight band, and yeah, they are setting the place on fire. Yeah, yeah, and "Twist in the Night Away" is one of the many highlights of that album, and yeah, yeah. But the studio version is great as well. Yeah.
nice, cool. Yeah, I think that's a yeah, that's a perfect turn off. Your pick right now is just perfect because my last pick is in the same vein. I think it's a song by Edwin Starr, whom we
Mm.
all know from the song "War," which was his biggest hit in 1970, reached number one in the USA. And this is the his second biggest hit, and it came out 1 year before War.
Mhm.
And uh, yeah, Edwin Starr actually also had a pretty interesting career. He started in a doo-wop combo in 1957. Then he had to go to the military. He was in Europe, spent I think 3 years in Europe. So that stalled his singing career. But when he came back, he decided to give it another try, and he landed in Detroit at Tick Records and recorded a couple of hits over there. His first big hit came in 1965, and it was a soul song that was kind of jumping on the James Bond wagon. It was called Agent Double O Soul, which I think is pretty funny. Haven't listened to it, but yeah, I have to do that. And Tick was yeah, making not that much noise, but they had a couple of hits, and that bothered Motown chef Barry Gordy, so he just straight up bought Tick Records. So Edwin Starr landed on Motown, um, and so his next songs came out on Motown, um, and yeah. And one of those songs was the song I'm talking about. It's called 25 Miles. And when it starts, it's I know you know War, and everybody who knows War knows Edwin Starr is this very energetic singer, um, uh, also a shouter and screamer. He's almost acting the lyrics basically, um, doing stuff, different things with his voice and shouts and so on. And 25 Miles catches the same energy. And when his song starts, you almost see this kind of black exploitation movie going on with this black muscular guy, walking down the road, 25 miles. The lyrics are ingenious, very, very simple, but the song basically counts on has to walk 25 miles to get to his girl. And so during the song, he counts down the miles basically, and he talks about how his feet are aching, but he's still going on, and only 10 miles, and so on and so on. And yeah, so you see this when a song go plays, you basically see this video where he's walking down this road and sweating and cursing and whatever. So very great, super energetic, very fun. Short 2.5 minutes or something like that, and then it's over. Yeah, pretty cool. He had a couple of hits after war as well. He made the title song for Hell Up in Harlem, a blaxploitation movie with Fred Williamson by Larry Cohen, which was the sequel to Black Godfather. And then that's funny because when I talked about Doris Troy, I mentioned that a lot of those soul artists were big in the UK in the 60s, and they went to the UK, and that's what Edwin Starr did. He had in the late 70s, his star was already waning in the US, but he managed to uh, get a couple of big hits in the UK with disco songs. So he let's see. Yeah, in I think in 1978 and 79, he had two big hits over there, Eye to Eye Contact and Happy Radio, which were top 10 hits in the UK. And so in 1983, he moved over to England, and that's where he died, aged 61 in 2003. Yeah, he may not have been, that soul star with whom we admire for this big discography. I think he's mainly known for this couple of songs, but when you listen to those songs, you know why he became why they became so successful, and it's just fun to listen to him because he's got so much energy, and you feel how he's putting everything he has into those songs, all that energy. And with War, that was actually an anti-war song, so there was a message, but 25 miles is just this fun concept behind the song. And yeah, that's it was just it. I listened to it just when we started this meeting, and it put me in the mood to go 25 miles right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. So my next pick is by a band you might know. These guys.
Heard of them.
Yeah, and this is yeah, quite. I think it's their third album, at least in the UK. I think it was the fourth in the States. Is the third British album. Out of Our Heads. Yeah, Brian Jones was still in the band. And yeah, they at this time they were still covering a lot. Also Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye and Chuck Berry, of course, the big hero of Keith Richards. And they also cover a song by Larry Williams. And Larry Williams did the famous, he's not that well known, but in the rock and roll scene back then, he was well known because he played that song Bad Boy that was also covered by the Beatles before they got famous. Later on, they recorded it, and it's really a great song. Lemmy also loved this song. It's a rock and roll classic. And on this single was a B-side written by Sonny Bono from Sonny and Cher and Roddy Jackson. And this B-side was called She Said Yeah, which is the opening track to this album. And I think this is a very, very special song in the Stones discography because yeah, I've introduced a theme earlier on, I guess, because it's a very energetic, punky version of the Stones. I think back then people really listened and said, "Wow, what is this?" Because the energy level has risen, has almost doubled, I would say. It's really a ferocious tune for them. And I would also even call it proto-punk. So on this song, they really can compete with the Sonics even. And it's so Brian Jones is playing a very cool riff, and Keith is playing lead on it. And it's kind of stomping. They stomping it through the song. It's not so much the song that is great. I mean, the title is she said yeah. It's not that's not the message. The message is the energy and the aggression. Yeah, and I don't really know the Larry Williams original to be honest, but I assume it's not that ferocious. But the Stones decided to do it like this, and that was really something. And
Yeah,
I read somewhere this also gave really an impression to all the other British invasion bands, and they are all very impressed, and they thought, wow, we should I don't know, we should get a bit more stronger and a bit heavier and a bit more energetic to keep up with them.
yeah,
These guys are too damn hot.
yeah,
Yeah, this is the closest the Stones got to the Sonics, and yeah, and wilder than anything the Stones did before this, and it still holds up to this day. I think it is still very impressive. Yeah, and I love the early Stones and the 60s Stones. I think they have so many great songs in this time. I also like most of the cover versions, like Hitchhike or Good Times by Sam Cooke is a very cool cover. So they have many cool songs, but yeah, but my pick today is she said yeah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I know the early Stones albums, but it's been a while when I listened to them, so I don't have it
Yeah.
memorized right now. Yeah, but I love the R&B Stones from that time as well. I love the early '70s Stones, of course. Later on, it becomes a bit more spotty, not too fond of the stuff they did past Black and Blue. But yeah, uh, I mean they are the Stones, so
Yeah.
it's good we still have them. Whatever they do now, it's really doesn't matter. Keith Richards should live forever, I think, just for the hell of it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Charlie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now we
But we
ended
still
on a
have the music.
now we ended on a sad note. That wasn't that
Yeah,
wasn't planned.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, um, that was our random five songs from the '60s. Um, tell us what you think about our idea. What you think about the songs we picked? Do you know them? Do you have any thoughts on them? Give us your comments. Of course, your thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel and yeah, hit that little belly thing. So not belly thing, that little bell, so you get notified when a new video comes out. And yeah, we hope to see you soon. And I think we will keep on with this. So there will be a volume two, and we will also do random songs from the '70s, '80s, and '90s probably, but only if you like it. So make sure you tell us what you think of it. And now we are calling it a day. Thank you for being with us, and bye bye.
Yeah, bye.